I have a family member. I'm not going to say like male or female because it'd be easily traceable what I'm about to say, but that individual works at Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, Washington. Works for a contract company through the SEER program. That individual said that there has been a 607% increase in the amount of students that they're pushing through the SEER program.
Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, and please take everything with a grain of salt. If you guys want to support us in a different way, though, and you still don't have a VPN, you should have one. You can go to NordVPN, go to marfooglenews.com/VPN, and then use the code Marfoogle.
Hey, what's up, Marf?
Hey, what's going on? So it sounds like you have some time-sensitive information that you said you have.
Yeah, I'm actually at work right now on break, but I called a couple years ago about the prison systems, working with FEMA and possibly housing citizens in case of a natural or man-made disaster. And my old watch commander, so I currently work for Washington State DOC, and my old watch commander transferred to Montana, and they have a outbreak, but only 2 of their staff has it. But now they are replacing the entire prison staff with Montana National Guard for both the Anacorna and the Women's Correctional Center. And then I was told that that's also happening down in La Lula State Penitentiary and just outside Phoenix, Arizona. And on top of that, my local PSB building, which is like your, I guess, county detention center, county jail, has a flyer on the front door saying that if you're a citizen and you have and you can't quarantine yourself from like your family or whatever, that they have converted one of the pods or the units to house civilians. And it just goes back to what I was saying, that DOC has been working with FEMA for years in preparing for some type of disaster and the potential to house citizens. And once they are housed, if the situation is bad enough, that they actually wouldn't let even civilians out of the prison or out of the detention center. It depends on where they would go to for like refugee.
Okay, and what's crazy, when I looked up, I typed in National Guard replacing prison guards, and all the way back to 2018, it said, should National Guard patrol North Carolina prisons, lawmakers urge Governor Cooper to consider it. Now, that's just one example. Again, what state were you saying that the one that you knew about?
So, yeah, the one that is for sure, they like went in and took over the prison today, is Montana.
Okay, yeah, so regardless of state, so National Guard, what is even crazier, September 1st, 2020, what in the world? Okay, so you said Montana. This says National Guard helps operate Indiana prison amid CV-19, September 1st, 2020.
Yeah. And this is happening nationwide, and not only in the prison system, man. This is happening in the state hospitals, too. And, you know, when I called a couple years ago, I got like a lot of flack from some of the callers saying like it's a hoax or whatever. But, you know, FEMA granted state hospitals millions of dollars to install armories nationwide for the mental institutions and state hospitals. And there's only one reason why you would want to arm and train your staff in riot control for a state hospital, you know what I mean? And it's all linked together. There's been a bunch of stuff coming down the pipe through FEMA with new trainings and stuff because of and how to take over. And now we're having to get like rapid tests that are like every 15 minutes. It gives you like the results instead of waiting like 3 or 4 days for results. But what's crazy is, like I said, the Montana one, there's only like 2 staff members and a handful of inmates that have tested positive. And you could easily prisons are sectioned off, so you could easily close down that section and social distance, you know what I mean, to stop the spread. So to replace the entire staff and march in National Guard, I mean, there's only been a handful of times that they did that. And, it's like New Mexico State Prison when they had like a huge riot or something. They don't do it to just like house people because of like a common cold or a flu or something,
No, and what is even crazier about that is like, I'm just trying to think of all the reasons or any of the reasons why, if you were like evil, just evil doer, why would you want National Guard posting up at prisons? And why would you put them there as far as guarding them? Maybe not so much.
Well, and it's definitely made the inmate population like super skittish. Like they're freaking out.
Okay, somebody says, not sure what to believe. This their screen name says, have you discussed how FEMA is hiring like crazy? Yes, we have, and we've shown you guys the ads all over the country. They are hiring, especially the weird titles being hired for. Again, that is one thing that a lot of the Foogle family members have put forward, and you guys are so freaking smart on that. As far as this goes, what if so everything hits the fan, it's a blackout, no power. Do you think they would do that to keep those prisoners in there? Do you think they don't expect prison guards to stay with the prisoners, so they put National Guard there?
And that's what I'm saying. And I know it was so long ago when I called, but like there's mandates through FEMA that if we're at work and something like that happens and it's a prolonged situation, like there's certain classifications of inmates that are just, would cease to exist. You know what I'm saying?
They would take them out.
And staff, if you tried to leave the prison, they could actually use deadly force against you because you're jeopardizing the public by abandoning your post. So like, and that's like FEMA 101, dude, through like corrections, and that's nationwide, every prison, every correctional community.
So,
go ahead.
Florida Maquis has a couple viral videos. He still talks about it to this day. He talks about how he had this theory about what would happen if shit hit the fan. And he talked about the prisons and what would happen. And a lot of people discuss it. I think he has over 1 million views on a couple of them, 700,000. A lot of people talked about it. And I remember going through for an hour reading through his comments because everybody had a different theory about this. And people specifically were debating, would they just let them sit there and rot? Would they just release them because it's cruel and unusual punishment? You're talking about some of the worst murders, rapists, all sorts of weird people in there. Gang members, every kind of bad you've seen. We're not talking about the guys that are in there for having weed or the guys in there for, some drug charge from 15 years ago. We're talking about really nasty guys in some of these prisons. And then for them to replace the people with National Guard over CV, that freaks me out. Because... Yeah.
And I just got to get back to the unit and stuff. But one last thing, I have a family member. I'm not going to say like male or female because it would be easily traceable what I'm about to say. But that individual works at Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, Washington, and is a contract person. Works for a contract company through the SEER program. And that individual said that there has been a 607% increase in the amount of students that they're pushing through the SEER program in 2020. For some reason, they have upped the numbers, and we're talking Green Berets, Delta Force, Rangers, Force Recon Marines, like all the special ops, the PJs through the Air Force, everything. They're all going through this SEER program, and they're pushing mad Tier 1 operators through the SEER unit. So... Wow. I don't know what the deal is with that, but
now can I ask, are you active right now? Is that what you said you need to get back to the unit?
Yeah, man. Like, my break was over about 15 minutes
Okay,
ago. I'm out
I'll
in my
let you
car,
go.
But I definitely do have to get back to the unit.
All right, thank you so much for calling in. Again, you'll see what I'm about to say here in a second, but Washington has quadrupled their SEAL training in Washington, and they're using all these parks. All right, I'll talk to you later. You'll see later when you watch it back.
Hey, later.
All right, bye-bye. This is what I wanted to show you. Washington State parks being used. Let's see here. This is something I covered a year and a half ago, and I thought it was really weird. They weren't doubling. They weren't tripling. They were quintupling. That's what it was. SEAL training in public parks. So they had to get approval. They have to like get permits and stuff for this. And they're using more and more parks at night for night training. And this is when I started catching whiff of this whole nighttime thing. Like they're planning for a blackout. They're planning for no power. Or at least contingency plans for it, right? I never want to tell you, hey guys, don't be afraid of a blackout. One, we've got Foogle fam here. We all need to communicate. We just need to back each other up. When SHTF happens, you got to roll with the flow. We are all meant to not be on this earth forever. I would say keep that in mind. I would just try to stay away from any craziness. I think it's our fear that makes us weak, really. Check this out. Navy wants to use more Washington State parks for stealth SEAL training. Check this out. This is the article. I remember this. And isn't this crazy? This is why I archive stuff. This is March 12th, 2018, right? I remember this article, and I remember this one part because I made, this is when I was a very small channel. I had a few hundred people watching me. Whole point of this is to do it without being seen. Look at that. It says most of the Navy training would unfold at night, often involving submersible diving vessels, submarines, maybe lithium-ion submarines that are completely silent, involving submersible diving. These guys are just diving into the water. SEAL swimmers stealthily coming ashore and making their way into designated locations. That might be quite a spectacle for a camper walking at a nighttime beach, but such glimpses of the SEALs are supposed to be rare. Super creepy. Man, if I saw a bunch of SEALs, I would be like, salute, sorry, just whatever I do, just don't say a word. The whole point of this is to do it without being seen, said Sheila Murray, public affairs deputy at Navy Region Northwest. It says, Murray said the training will help prepare the SEALs for secret missions in hostile territory where getting spotted from shore could have deadly consequences. So, why would they be training those specific kinds of soldiers? Why would they be pumping out so many of them? Why would they be planning for years to train all these guys? And by the way, 2-3 years ago, we knew that's when 2 years ago is when we switched off from terrorists and said that China and Russia were our biggest enemies. And that's facts. Theresa May in Europe even did their defense ministry said, hey, we're changing over, we're putting our money not into terrorists anymore, because remember, they got bombed, Paris got bombed, all these things got bombed. They said, we're not putting it in terrorists anymore. We're actually going to be putting it into Russia and defense against Russia. So this is, and I said back then, they are going to be, they're planning this. This isn't an overnight thing. This is a world takeover of some sort. World War III will be absolutely bonkers. I mean, this is the biggest war our world has ever seen. And it's my opinion, and this is my opinion, that we should not be scared, but understand that this happens, and it's going to happen at some point. It's in my opinion, inevitable. End times, we need to be prepared. Food, water, solar generators, and ammo. Pew-pews. Love the Foogle fam, Adam and Dex. That's right, end times. Thanks for the support tonight. But even more so, again, we need to literally be prepared. And if you're doing the literally drinking game, You are probably drunk by now. Stealth Dave, thank you for following. CML 2625, thank you for following. End Times, thank you for following. But reminder, if you're new here, we had when we had our Discord, before we got our Discord taken down, over 500 active and retired military people in our Discord. So we get a ton of this kind of information. We have to sift through it and make sure it's correct. And I believe what he said, at least on the second part as well. I believe what he said about the prison, but I also believe what he said about that because of what I know about the SEALs, and I think that's really telling right there. Why are they pumping these guys out? In the meantime, if you want to protect yourself, there's no better way. As far as we have 19 days until the election, we have unlimited amount of craziness going on. One thing that you can do, though, is you can actually prevent one of these crazy things that could happen and protect yourself against an EMP. Again, an EMP shield is actually a device that can protect against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. This company is actually contracted by companies like DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team officially protecting the Texas grid. They are actually making these same devices and stuff that's top of the line classified stuff for the government. They are still, after all these contracts, still selling to consumers. And they let us know that they are back at full production. They realize that if people do get these, they want to get them quickly at this point. At one point, they had so many government contracts that just popped up on their lap. As you guys know, President signed these orders. It basically said we need to harden our entire grid, obviously because of a threat. So then they had to basically make new factories because of that contract. So in the meantime, there was a period where they were nice enough to tell us that, hey, you guys are used to one-day shipping. It's not going to be like that. I guess they are back to full production. They can do one-day shipping, all that kind of stuff. Again, you can sign up for one of these at marfooglenews.com/EMP. There's ones for your car, your motorcycle, your solar system, even your ham radio. You can get different devices that basically ground the signal before it fries your device. If you have a generator and all of your other stuff hooked up, even if the grid doesn't ever come back on, you can start up your generator, run your devices, run your stuff in your house, run your appliances, and your solar system can work in Coruscant. So I hope a lot of you guys are prepped up and prayed up because it's only going to get crazier. marfooglenews.com/EMP. It also supports us. It supports Dex and I and the show as independent journalists and our small little channel here. So thank you.
Feed the haters to the alligators. Your way or the highway. See you later. B.O.D. is the homie and Mr. Vader. If it wasn't for you, I would never made it. Whole city's covered by the cremated. Now they listen to what we were saying. Doesn't matter if the manufacturer or created. Put now, put later.